Hello, Seeker. If you know your own future, you can change it if you want to. You have a choice. Welcome to episode 6 of Answering the Question. Spoiler alert for the movie Minority Report. I watched it on Amazon Prime. If you want to watch it, turn this video off and come back after you have done so. Last chance to avoid any spoilers. PreCrime, a specialized police department, apprehends criminals based on foreknowledge provided by 3 psychics called precogs. The film's central theme is the question of free will versus determinism. It examines whether free will can exist if the future is set and known in advance. I believe we can know all the paths possible and choose one, therefore we are confined to a possibility even if the choices are endless. Each possibility has separate universes and different versions of ourselves. Other themes include the role of preventive government in protecting its citizenry, the role of media in a future state where technology advancements make its presence nearly boundless, the potential legality of an infallible prosecutor, and perennial theme of broken families. The main protagonist is accused of a crime he has not committed and becomes a fugitive. Dr. Iris Heineman told Chief Sean Anderton that one precog, the female Agatha, who is more gifted than the 3, occasionally sees a different future version from the other 2, a minority report of a possible alternate timeline. In April 2054, the federal government is planning to implement Washington, D.C.'s prototype pre-crime police program on a national level, as 3 clairvoyant humans, called precogs, visualize details of an impending homicide. Authors analyze the data in order to determine the crime's location and apprehend the perpetrator before the crime can occur. The precogs lie floating in a pool under sleep-inducing drugs to deprive them of external stimulus, and their thoughts are projected on screen and stored in a database. Would-be killers are immediately imprisoned in a benevolent virtual reality state. Although PreCrime has eliminated nearly all premeditated murders during the 6 years of its existence, spontaneous crimes of passion are still problematic, as the police have limited time to intercept the killer. While the United States Department of Justice agent Danny Whitwer audits PreCrime, the precogs predict that Sean Anderton, the program's commanding officer, will kill a man named Leo Crow in 36 hours. Anderton's son, Sean, was kidnapped years earlier and never found, prompting him to separate from his wife, Lara, and develop an addiction to serotonin. Anderton flees the office, prompting Whitwer to begin a manhunt, and tracks down PreCrime founder Dr. Iris Heineman in the country. From her, Anderton learns that one precog occasionally sees a different future vision from the other 2, a minority report of a possible alternate timeline. These discrepancies are reviewed and purged from the official record, as group agreement is the foundation of the pre-crime bylaws. However, a backup copy is hidden within the mind of the precog who generated it. He also discovers that early neuron adopters and addicts were predisposed to having mentally disabled children, many of which had precognitive abilities. In the test, the precognitive children, most had passed away except for 3 who were turned over to pre-crime. Anderton returns to pre-crime where he kidnaps Agatha, described by Heineman as the strongest and most clairvoyant of the 3 precogs, shutting down the group mind on which pre-crime depends. Anderton and Agatha track Crow to a hotel room and find numerous photos of children, including Sean. Anderton accuses him of killing Sean, but Crow claims that he has been hired to plant the photos and tries to get Anderton to kill him. When Anderton refuses to shoot him, he commits suicide in a scene resembling the precog file. Anderton fails to find a minority report within Agatha's mind, but does discover a vision of a past murder that had occurred 5 years earlier. The victim was Agatha's mother, Anne Lively, who had sold her daughter to PreCrime while addicted to Neuron. She later broke her addiction and tried to reclaim the child, but was drowned by a hooded figure. While investigating Crow's death, Whitwer learns that 2 attempts were made on Lively's life. The first was thwarted by PreCrime, but the second one succeeded a few minutes later. Whitwer reports his findings to PreCrime director Lamar Burgess, who kills him without being detected since the precog system is offline. Anderton is eventually captured and imprisoned for the murders of Crow and Whitwer, and Agatha is reconnected to the system. Burgess inadvertently reveals himself as Lively's killer while talking with Lara, who uses the information to force Anderton's release from prison. Anderton plays the footage of Lively's death at a banquet in Burgess's honor. Knowing that PreCrime could not function without Agatha, Burgess killed Lively himself in the same manner as the failed attempt on her life, and the technicians regarded the actual murder as an echo and purged it like most of the echo premonitions. As a new PreCrime report is generated, showing that Burgess will kill Anderton, Anderton points out the dilemma Burgess now faces: kill him and validate PreCrime at the cost of his own freedom, or spare him and see the program be discredited and shut down. Anderton points out that Burgess can change his own future since he now knows it. Burgess commits suicide. PreCrime is abandoned and all prisoners are pardoned and released. Though many remain under police surveillance for years, the precogs are moved to an undisclosed location where they can live in peace. Anderton and Lara reconcile and are expecting another child. What happened to Sean, Anderton's son? Anderton and Agatha track Leo Crow to a hotel room and find numerous photos of children, including Sean. Anderton accuses Leo of killing Sean, but Crow claims that he had been hired to plant the photos and did not kill Sean. Leo tried to get Anderton to kill him, but when Anderton refused to shoot him, he commits suicide by lunging at Anderton. The firearm discharges and he goes out the window so his family would be paid by a man. The death, despite not being exactly the way Agatha had seen it, resembled the precog file minus being shot. Good thing the PreCrime cops decided the apartment scene with pictures was staged. At the pool, when Anderton was underwater for a few seconds, how did Sean Anderton get kidnapped at the public pool? The answer was he got up, left, and wasn't kidnapped. He probably saw his mom, got out of the pool, dropped the watch to give it to his dad, and walked away. There were no screams, waves in the pool that would normally be caused by someone being forced out, or witnesses despite how overpopulated the pool was. I believe Sean's mom planned the staged kidnapping and sold him to PreCrime, or Lamar Burgess, director of PreCrime, himself, similar to Agatha's mother, and Lively, selling her daughter to PreCrime while addicted to Neuroin. Early Neuroin adopters and addicts were predisposed to having mentally disabled children, many of which had precognitive abilities. But that doesn't mean all the children were mentally disabled. Most things caused by drugs are passed from parent to child through the mother using a drug or substance while pregnant. We clearly see Anderton using Neuroin, but what about Sean's mom, Lara Anderton? How did Lara Anderton have Lamar Burgess, director of PreCrime's, cell phone number to tell him Chief John Anderton showed up to her home with a precog? Why would she call him directly? This further supports the theory that Sean's kidnapping was not random. In the scene where Lara discovers that Lamar knew more about Ann Lively than he was letting on, he leaves her and says he would come by the cottage to further discuss Ann Lively. How did he know where she lived and what she lived in? The book or the sequel may cover a lot of these missing details, but for the sake of this, we're going to focus mainly on the movie. And I do believe after watching this video and you go back and watch Minority Report, you'll see these same details, and you too will start to see that possibly Sean's mom is not as innocent as you think. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, click the bell, please share to your social media. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.